We live in a world that pretends it understands fear. We give it small names: anxiety, stress, pressure, tension. We package it neatly into little diagnoses, or worse, dismiss it with casual laughter. But fear is not something so fragile, so temporary. Fear is older than us, older than civilization, older than every fragile defense we built to keep ourselves human. Fear is the soil where all darkness grows. And the mistake, the fatal mistake, is to believe you can bury it without consequence. What is denied does not die. It waits in Salem's lot. The town itself became the canvas where this denial was painted in broad, black strokes. On the surface, it was ordinary: stores and homes, gossip over fences, the rhythm of work and church. But under the ordinary was rot, old griefs, unspoken cruelties, quiet betrayals. The vampires did not arrive to create the darkness. They only feasted on what was already there. That's the lesson people forget. Monsters do not appear in a vacuum. They are summoned silently, by years of silence, by the little moral compromises people make every day. And when they come with a hunger that mirrors our own. The psychology of denial is simple. It's easier to pretend we're innocent than to confront the parts of ourselves that aren't. Every time you turn away from a person's suffering because it is inconvenient, every time you pretend not to hear the cry in someone's voice because it would require you to act, you are making a bargain with darkness. You are saying, "Not now, not my problem. Let someone else carry it." But darkness always remembers who looked away, and it charges interest. What terrifies us about Salem's Lot is not the vampires. It is the realization that the town was ready for them. The people had been practicing fear for years, refining it in whispers, sharpening it in prejudice, using it to justify cruelty. The moment the true horror arrived, their knees were already bent. They had been bowing long before they even knew to whom. Isn't that the way it always works? The oppressor doesn't break you. You've been breaking yourself, piece by piece, long before they arrived. To study the criminal mind is to study this breaking. Crimes rarely begin with a grand declaration of evil. They begin with small permissions, a lie that doesn't get corrected, a grudge that doesn't get resolved, a temptation that doesn't get resisted. Human beings think of mistakes as events, but they are not events. They are processes that build silently, invisibly, until they burst open like a rotten wall. You can watch a whole town rot, and when it finally collapses, people pretend to be shocked, but deep down, everyone knew. They always know. The deepest horror of all is not the monster outside, but the silence inside. That silence when you see what's wrong and tell yourself it isn't your responsibility. That silence when you feel rage but turn it inward instead of giving it purpose. That silence when you wake up at 3 a.m. knowing you betrayed yourself. But you whisper, tomorrow will be different. And then tomorrow arrives and nothing changes. The people of Salem's Lot were masters of that silence. They let their shame and fear become parasites feeding on their souls until they were hollow enough to be claimed. Think about your own life. How many times have you denied your own darkness, told yourself you are better than that, as if morality were a costume you could wear over your flesh? How many times have you convinced yourself that what you did wasn't really a betrayal? It was just an exception. Just this once? That is the way people become prisoners of themselves, not through one great sin, but through thousands of tiny justifications. A man cheats himself into despair. A woman buries her anger until it ferments into hate. But evil arrived with familiarity. It arrived with neighbors. It arrived with the faces they saw every Sunday. The true horror was not the fangs or the blood. It was recognizing that the darkness had been wearing familiar faces all along. And isn't that the tragedy of denial? The moment you finally confront the truth, you realize it has been with you for years. The addiction was always growing. The marriage was always crumbling. The betrayal was always there in the silences, in the missed glances, in the excuses. You only see the monster once it has already bitten you. And by then, the wound is too deep to hide. You can try to suppress the darkness inside you, but suppression is not control. It is simply storage. And what is stored always comes back, larger, hungrier, transformed into something even you do not recognize. That is the psychology of mistakes. You think you are avoiding them, but you are feeding them. You think you are safe because no one else can see it, but all you are doing is waiting for the moment when it will finally break you in public. This is the price to pay for denying the darkness inside. You no longer control it. It controls you. And when it rises, when it finally comes for you, it will not be merciful. Fear is not just an enemy, it is also a map. It points to the things you refuse to face in Salem's lot. Fear crept into every corner, an old house looming at the edge of town, a neighbor whose eyes seemed too hungry, a silence that stretched too long in the night. But beneath each of these images was something personal. The house wasn't just haunted. It was the shape of guilt left unspoken. The neighbor wasn't just dangerous. He was a reflection of the desire no one dared admit. The silence wasn't just silence. It was the echo of a conscience ignored. Fear tells you where the truth is buried. And when you bury truth, you are building a coffin for yourself. That is the tragedy of repression. To repress is to imagine that emotions are obedient, that if you shove them deep enough, they will die. But they do not die. They ferment. They become acidic. They eat at the structure of your life until the beams collapse and you tell yourself it was sudden. But nothing is sudden. Collapse is never sudden. It is only the unveiling of what has been true for a long time. Fear teaches us this. Pain teaches us this. Loss teaches us this. The question is never whether the darkness exists inside you. The question is whether you will face it before it faces you. The psychology of human morality is fragile because it is built on stories we tell ourselves. We say we are good, but goodness tested by nothing is an illusion. We say we are kind, but kindness that costs nothing is only a mask. We say we are strong, but strength that has never been tempted is just untested weakness. Where the darkness rises, all the stories collapse, and what remains is the truth. The people of Salem's lot told themselves they were decent, faithful, upright. But their decency was cowardice, their faith was habit, and their uprightness was fear of scandal, not love of good. When the hour came, they broke like glass, and so would many of us. If we were honest, this is why denial is the greatest crime against the self. To deny your darkness is to refuse preparation. It is to stand at the edge of battle without armor, without weapons, with only a lie to hold on to. And when the enemy comes, the lie shatters, and you are left exposed. A man who knows his darkness may still fall, but at least he is not surprised. At least he can fight. But the man who denies it is already defeated. He is already a corpse waiting for the grave to be dug. Look closely at your mistakes, not the ones you confess to others, not the ones that make easy apologies, but the mistakes you dare not even whisper to yourself, the thought you push away in the middle of the night, the secret you distract yourself from by working, scrolling, drinking, laughing too loudly. Those are the mistakes that own you, and every time you deny them, you are giving them permission to grow. The psychology of guilt is parasitic. It consumes your silence. The psychology of shame is corrosive. It wears down the parts of you that could resist. And the psychology of repression is the most dangerous of all. It convinces you there is nothing to fight. When we speak of oppression, we often imagine governments, leaders, systems, politics. But the first oppression is always internal. It is the voice that says, "Don't speak, don't act, don't fight." It is the whisper that tells you to keep your head down, to stay small, to let the world pass by because rocking the boat will cost too much. That whisper is the voice of the darkness, not your conscience. Your conscience cries for truth. The darkness cries for comfort. And most people, given the choice, betray themselves for comfort. But comfort is not safety. Comfort is sedation. It is the drug you take so you don't have to feel the slow bleeding of your soul. It is the lullaby you sing to yourself as your own house burns around you. And when the flames reach your skin, you will ask how it happened, but you will already know. You always knew. Think of the mistakes in your past, the ones that shaped you, the ones that haunt you. How many of them were really accidents? How many of them were born from silence, from denial, from pretending you could ignore the truth? We tell ourselves lies about accidents because it is easier than admitting we allowed them. But deep down, we remember the moment we could have spoken, the moment we could have acted, the moment we could have told the truth. We remember, and we pay. We always pay. This is the truth hidden inside every horror story. The monster is not punishment. The monster is consequence. The monster is the embodiment of what you refuse to confront, growing larger in your denial until it can no longer be ignored. You run, you scream, you plead, but you are not innocent. You are complicit. You fed it every time you looked away. You raised it every time you denied yourself. You invited it every time you silenced your conscience. And so, the price comes due, always. The thing about consequences is that they don't knock politely. They don't wait until you're ready. They break in, unannounced, like the vampires in Salem's Lot slipping through windows, sliding under doors, whispering at the edge of your bed while you sleep. By the time you open your eyes, they're already feeding. That is the nature of unacknowledged darkness. It feeds in silence. Long before you recognize it, you tell yourself you are safe because the world outside looks normal. But rot always begins where no one is looking, and when it surfaces, it is never small. Human beings are masters of bargaining. We make little deals with ourselves, saying, "Just this once, I will look away. Just this once, I will compromise. Just this once, I will remain silent." But just once is a lie, because every time you say it, you are training yourself for surrender. You are teaching your conscience to stay quiet, and soon, you no longer need to make the bargain. You become the bargain. You become the silence. And when the moment comes where courage is demanded, you find that you no longer have it. The cost of denying the darkness is not simply the loss of innocence, it is the loss of will. Salem's Lot is not a story about monsters. It is a story about people who surrendered long before the monsters arrived. They surrendered to gossip instead of compassion. They surrendered to cowardice instead of conviction. They surrendered to appearances instead of truth. Each choice felt small, each denial justified, but together, those denials built a cage, and when the vampires came, the people walked into it willingly. That is how oppression works, not with force, but with consent, not with chains, but with silence. Think of your own life. Where have you given consent to your own destruction? Where have you allowed silence to grow because speaking would have been difficult? Where have you accepted less than the truth because the truth would have hurt? Every moment of denial is a seed, and each seed grows into something far larger than you expect. A resentment ignored becomes a hatred that poisons love. A mistake unconfessed becomes a secret that rewrites your character. A fear unacknowledged becomes a leash that drags you where you swore you'd never go. You do not escape the darkness by ignoring it. You only ensure it grows stronger in the shadows. This is why the criminal mind so often feels inevitable when you study it. By the time the crime is committed, the soul has already been corroded by years of quiet choices. The theft was born the moment envy was left to fester. The violence was born the moment anger was buried instead of faced. The betrayal was born the moment selfish desire was excused as need. What horrifies us about criminals is not that they are alien, but that they are familiar. Their darkness is ours, magnified. Their mistakes are our mistakes, taken to their ultimate conclusion. And when we look at them, we see the face of the self we deny. That denial is why horror feels so personal. Horror is not about monsters in the dark. It is about the mirror the monster holds up. You fear the vampire because he is hunger without restraint, and you know hunger lives inside you. You fear the ghost because she is grief without end, and you know grief lives inside you. You fear the killer because he is rage without conscience, and you know rage lives inside you. Every monster is only a reflection, and every reflection asks the same question. What would you become if you stopped pretending? And so, we return to the price. The price is not merely destruction. The price is recognition. When the darkness finally rises, when the lies collapse, when the silence screams, you will not only lose what you love, you will see yourself clearly. Perhaps for the first time, you will see the cowardice you fed, the cruelty you excused, the silence you cherished. You will see that the monster you feared has always been your shadow, and shadows never leave. Some people never survive that recognition. They collapse under the weight of it, insisting they are victims of fate, of chance, of cruelty from the outside. But others, rare, scarred, haunted, emerge from it with a new kind of honesty. They no longer pretend, they no longer bargain. They know their darkness, and because they know it, they can fight it. They are not innocent, but they are awake, and being awake, even in pain, is the only real form of freedom. The tragedy of Salem's Lot is that the town never woke up. It slept through its own destruction, dreaming it was safe until the dream devoured it. That is the tragedy of most lives. Not that we fail, but that we fail without ever truly waking. The question, then, is whether you will wake before it is too late. Will you confront the darkness you've been denying, the hunger you've been disguising, the silence you've been nurturing? Or will you wait until it has grown large enough to own you completely? Because make no mistake, the price is coming. And when it arrives, it will demand everything you denied, everything you ignored, everything you buried. The most terrifying sound in Salem's lot was not the flapping of wings or the knocking on windows. It was the quiet, the hush of a town that chose not to speak. That same quiet lives inside us. We confuse it with peace, with self-control, with discipline, but often it is nothing more than paralysis, an unwillingness to admit what is festering. The psychology of silence is seductive. If you say nothing, if you do nothing, perhaps the storm will pass, perhaps the darkness will tire and move on. But storms do not pass, they intensify. Darkness does not leave, it waits. And silence is not safety. It is the sound of your defenses falling one by one. Fear is not destroyed by denial. Fear is destroyed by confrontation. But confrontation requires sacrifice. You cannot face your own darkness without losing something. The illusion of innocence, the comfort of ignorance, the protection of the lie. This is why people choose denial. They would rather suffer quietly than bleed openly. But quiet suffering does not remain quiet. It leaks into every corner of your life. It poisons your love, your work, your faith. It turns your laughter brittle, your friendships shallow, your ambitions hollow. Denial is a parasite, and its host is always the soul. The characters in Salem's Lot who survived were not the strongest, nor the most powerful, nor the most righteous. They were the ones willing to see, to admit, to name what was happening, even when the naming felt impossible. That is the difference between the condemned and the saved. The condemned cling to illusion until it smothers them, while the saved let the illusion die before it kills them. There is no easy way through that death. It is humiliating. It strips you. It shatters the mask you spent years crafting. But only when the mask is gone can you finally fight with the face you were born with. Criminal psychology teaches us that every mistake has a birthplace, and that birthplace is always a thought denied. A child feels envy and is told it is wicked, so he hides it. A woman feels rage and is told it is unladylike, so she swallows it. A man feels fear and is told it is weakness, so he buries it. Each denial creates a fracture, and the fractures connect until the person no longer knows themselves. And then one day, the fracture splits wide, and the crime is committed. People call it shocking, sudden, monstrous. But the true monstrosity is how long the suffering was ignored. The same is true for you. What have you ignored? What emotion sits in your chest like a stone, unacknowledged but heavy enough to bend your spine? What hunger wakes you in the night, whispering, but is drowned in distractions come morning? What secret truth do you know about yourself that you refuse to admit even in silence? That is your lot. That is your Marston house. Standing on the hill, waiting. You can tell yourself it is only a house, only a memory, only a thought, but you know better. You always know better. This is why horror endures. It is not simply entertainment. It is testimony. Horror testifies to the truths we bury. It reminds us that evil is not an invader but a neighbor, not an outsider but a reflection. Horror strips away our excuses, our masks, our borrowed morality, and forces us to see ourselves in the dark. Some recoil, insisting it is only fiction. Others shiver, recognizing their own shadows moving in the corners of the story. And those who recognize their shadows are offered a chance, terrible, painful, but real, the chance to confront, to admit, to fight before it is too late. But most will not take it. Most will smile, shake their heads, close the book, turn off the screen, and return to silence. They will deny their darkness one more time. They will pretend the price is not coming. And for a while, they may even feel safe. But the price does not forget. It does not forgive. It only waits. So I ask you, when the moment comes, and it always comes, when the darkness inside you finally rises and demands recognition, what will you do? Will you face it, name it, and fight it? Or will you look away again, pretending you are innocent, until the last of your light is gone? Because the only real question left is this: how much more are you willing to pay for denying the darkness inside you?